station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? A very happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us on PTL, the fastest growing show, not just in the Valley, but all over the country. And we are so happy you make us a part of your day. You could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, on the Washington Press Network, on the FM AM dial KSHP, on TikTok, Twitch, of course, on the YouTube pages and the Facebook fan page. And as I mentioned, thank you so much for joining us. Please check out my new website, pushingthelimits.live. We are independently owned, pushingthelimits.live. So please support what we do. Check it out. If you want to buy some merch, we got some cool stuff up there. Donate, do whatever you can to help. We appreciate it. And again, thanks for joining us. We have a lot to get to today. We are going to hear from both sides of the aisle in regards to what they expect from this debate on Thursday, what they think is going to happen. I'd like to get both sides. We are going to do that here. We are also going to be discussing a little bit of the narrative being put forth by Trump and his surrogates. Now they're making excuses. Even though they agreed to do this debate on CNN, now they're bitching and crying about it. And they're talking about Jake Tapper compared Donald Trump to Hitler, and they're unfair, and he's going to be treated unfairly. It really is. I can tell you right now, Donald Trump, at least in my estimation, he ain't backing out. They're just coming up with excuses, just like they do before an election, saying that it's rigged, so in case he loses, they have an excuse. All right, let's get right down to it. As I mentioned, we're going to hear from both sides of the aisle today. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, David Pollack, host of The David Pollack Show. He is a staunch conservative. He is a staunch Trump supporter. We're going to get his take on what he wants to see on Thursday. But right now, I want to introduce to you a woman by the name of Adrienne Quinn Martin. She is the Hood County Democrat chair, a staunch Democrat. And we want to get her take on what she wants to see on Thursday, and among other topics that we will be discussing as well. Adrienne, I appreciate you joining us on the show today. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for
good.
joining us. Before I get to the national stuff and the debate coming up on Thursday, boy, do you have some wackadoodles in Texas. Leadership, starting with your governor, Abbott, and others like Ted Cruz. Explain to me how these people get elected in office in Texas. How?
Well, the problem is with our primary system. Well, it's a few different things, but our primary system puts in basically gives an incentive because our state is so gerrymandered for the most extreme candidates to run the most extreme campaigns that they can. Because the most partisan voters are the only ones that vote in the primary. So because the state is so gerrymandered, basically, if they win in the primary, they win the election.
Yeah. I understand that. I get that. It's just when I see, Ted Cruz, Cancun Cruz, and, the comments that Abbott made after the Parkland after the shooting in Uvalde, it's just so embarrassing to me, right, Adrienne, and sad. And, I have so much respect for so many good Democrats in that state, such as, Beto O'Rourke is one name that comes to mind. We've had personal conversations, and it's just so frustrating. And when you hear people say, well, there's just too many Republicans in Texas, is that a fair excuse when people say that?
I mean, I completely disagree. If you come to Texas, you'll see we are one of the most diverse, multicultural states in the country, just next to California. 75% of Texans live in Democratic controlled counties. The primary system, but also our voter apathy. Texas is a non-voting state. You hear that a lot. Sorry about my dog. She'll stop in a second.
No problem.
But Texas is a non-voting state, and that's where a lot of the problems come in. This last election, I was super disappointed with Uvalde just happening, our grid failure,
Right.
Abortion being completely banned. we had 11 million registered voters who did not vote. That's registered.
Yeah.
More registered voters didn't vote than voted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a problem, and we need people to get out there and vote come November. Let's ask you a little bit about this debate coming up on Thursday. You're hearing rumblings from people on social media claiming that Trump might back out. He's whining and complaining about Jake Tapper and CNN. And, you tell me if you agree or not, Adrian, but my take on this is very simple. It's just why he says that the election is going to be stolen. He said it in 2016. He said it in 2020. He's saying it today. Because in case things don't go his way, he wants to be able to make an excuse and blame somebody else. I see that being the exact same thing in this debate on Thursday. If the debate doesn't go his way and Biden does a good job, which I believe he will, he wants to blame CNN. He wants to blame Jake Tapper. Do you see it that way as well? And what do you make of this?
I mean, absolutely. He's laying the groundwork for his excuses later on. And also saying he wants a drug test. And
right.
I mean, this is what he does. He's a showman and he's a liar. It's almost like a boxer getting ready for a fight. And I guess his people are entertained and enjoy that. I don't.
Neither do I. And I'm with you 100%. Adrian, even though I'm a registered independent, I have very little in common these days with Republicans. I lean more to the left on a lot of social issues, and I'm very anti-Donald Trump, and I'm unapologetic for it. But if you asked me 10 years ago what the Republican Party stands for, I'd have a better idea. Even though I might not agree with their platform, I'd have a better idea of what Republicans stand for. People ask me what do Republicans stand for today. I don't even know what gender ideology talk and what bathrooms people use and more guns make us safer. And let's take a woman's rights to healthcare away. Like, I don't know what else the Republican Party stands for today, Adrian.
Well, they don't really stand for anything. And their party has completely been taken over by Christian nationalism. They have no policies. Which is a big reason why I think they lean into the culture war crap.
Yeah.
Because they have to get people motivated to vote somehow. They can't do it on a record.
Right. You're right. And, when I think of what does the Democrat Party stand for, equality, raising wages so people don't have to live paycheck to paycheck, helping the poor, wanting this country to be a country based on, all different shapes, sizes, ethnicities. I haven't heard any Democrats use the term "go back to your S-hole country" like Donald Trump has. That's what I believe the Democrats stand for today, and I believe for the most part it's the way they've always stood for. My question to you is: do you believe that Joe Biden should be able to run on his record, and should he be able to talk about that? And do you want him to talk about that in his record on Thursday?
Absolutely. The problem with Democrats, or one of the problems, is that they have terrible messaging. Always have. Biden's done a ton, and people don't even realize it. I just heard yesterday, if you poll people, they actually think we're in a recession right now, which we are not. The economy is doing well, but the messaging is so poor. I think they try to take the high road while getting attacked over and over and over again, and that doesn't work. Eventually, you have to bite back.
I agree with you. I talk about this a lot on the show. I have utmost respect for Michelle Obama. I think she's such a wonderful woman, extremely educated, good mother, good wife. I have so much respect for her, but I do disagree with her when she says, when they go low, we go high. I understand why she would say that. You want to show class and dignity. You don't want to stoop to their level. Like, I understand, but I don't agree with it right now. Trump is going to cheap shot after cheap shot to Joe Biden. Joe Biden needs to fight back. And while I do want him to talk about his record, I do want him to take the high road on a number of different circumstances. He's standing next to a guy on Thursday who is a 34-count convicted felon, liable sexual abuser. I want to hear that from Joe Biden's mouth multiple times on Thursday. I'm afraid that he's not going to do that. What do you say?
I don't know. He's kind of unpredictable. He kind of says things you don't expect. As what are the Joe gaffes? So I hope he does. I hope he's got some passion and some energy, because that's what people need to see. people need to see that because we haven't really so far. And he may feel like he's under attack, but we're under attack and our country's under attack. Our democracy's under attack.
Sure.
And it's time to be real about that and be real about the state of what is going to happen if Trump gets elected.
Right. Yeah. It would be a scary 4 years. What do you make of even Donald Trump's doctor, Mr. Jackson, and so many on the far right that are claiming that Joe Biden, you know, you heard the rhetoric, taking drugs, Donald Trump, they're probably going to give him a shot in the ass, yet they can't name one specific drug that would do such a thing. And, you know, you heard, as you know, before the State of the Union, he's not going to be able to last. He's not going to be able to stand up there for 90 minutes. You heard all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Joe Biden did better than I think what a lot of people thought he would do. And then they moved the goalpost and they talk about how he must have been drugged up. Now they've decided to forget about he's not going to perform well. Now it's turned into, well, if he does perform well, it's because he's drugged up.
Well, it's always projection. It's always projection. Whatever they're accusing people of is usually what they're up to themselves. And we've all heard rumors about that. So, yeah, it doesn't matter if he does well or not. Trump's supporters are going to think he didn't. So he's just laying the groundwork for that in the case that he does well, he has an excuse that his supporters will buy, and they will.
I want to go back to Texas politics a little bit. And I'm a big Matthew McConaughey fan. I've always loved his movies. Seems to be a good guy. Seems to always say the right things. However, I was very disappointed when Matthew McConaughey spoke at the White House. I can see that he was passionate. I don't believe he was acting. I think his heart is in the right place and he comes from the right place. However, comes from a staunch Republican family. He speaks at the White House about that horrible Uvalde, Texas tragedy. Doesn't criticize Governor Abbott. Doesn't criticize Republicans when we all know the reason why there's so much gun violence in this country, or one of the main reasons, is because Republicans fail to act. We had that, assault weapons ban that fizzled out in the early 90s. It was working. It fizzled out because of Republicans. Republicans, particularly some even in Texas, think that more guns make us safer. They want to arm kindergarten teachers. But yet Matthew McConaughey speaks very generically, and he fails to call out his own governor. I have a serious problem with that. He doesn't have to. He has the right to say what he wants to say. I'm just saying I'm very disappointed. Let's call it out for what it is. Many of the Republicans, like the Governor Abbotts of the world, care more about an A+ rating from the NRA than they actually care about public safety. And I wish Matthew McConaughey would say that. And why doesn't anybody ask him about that?
Well, Matthew McConaughey doesn't speak for me or most Texans. I don't think he's not even a figure in Texas that we're like looking to for our political points for sure. And he's always been kind of milk toast, like walk the line. I think that's typical Hollywood. I mean, the fact that he even like teased that he was going to run for office for months. And then he had, he came out with a book instead. Like he's kind of a joke to me, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, obviously he should have called the governor out. He should have called the Republicans out, but I'm not surprised that he didn't do that. I mean, has he ever endorsed any candidates, or does he even vote? No, I don't know. It's public record. You could probably look it up.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I don't know. I know that he comes from a very staunch Republican family. When I think of Governor Abbott, I could think of a lot of horrible things he said and horrible things he's done. But I go back to the day of the Uvalde, Texas shooting. And not a lot of people talk about this, but I remember, and you know this, that night, before they had even finished counting all those dead children's bodies, Governor Abbott was doing a campaign event and he was counting his own money, and he didn't cancel the event. And to me, that speaks volumes of where so many on the far right are. Where Governor Abbott, it was more important for him to count his money in a campaign event than to be at that school, to be holding press conferences and trying to do his best to comfort the families. To me, that's who Governor Abbott is. He has no moral compass. He's a despicable human being. And the fact that he was reelected over Beto O'Rourke is so puzzling and mind-boggling to me. These MAGA Republicans, so many of them, have no moral compass, and Governor Abbott's actions and behavior that day of the Uvalde, Texas shooting was despicable. And even days after, he defended the police. And then after he realized, I made a boo-boo, then he blamed it on others that gave him bad information. The man has no dignity and no moral compass, no positive things to say about him. And yet there are still so many in Texas that support him.
So I'll say this, Governor Abbott is not popular. He's not popular with the far right, and he's, definitely not popular with the left. If he's popular with independents, I don't know of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the culture in Texas. It's like they'll vote for any Republican. Abbott used to be kind of moderate. I believe until he started trying out to be Trump's VP and he wants to be president.
Right.
And then it was like, obviously, like you said, he has no morals. There's nothing stopping him. I believe if Trump gets elected, we're going to see them start shooting migrants at the border. I really believe that. He pretty much said it.
Yeah.
He said the reason that we don't do everything that we can do to stop them is because of Biden will sue the state for murder. He said that. So he is a vile person. It's a tragedy that he's leading the second biggest state in the country. And they are regressing Texas. Texas is not number one in business anymore. It used to be. And we're pretty much dead last in everything else. Quality of life is near the bottom or the bottom. So Abbott and our all Republican government, we've been under all one party control for decades, is running the state into the ground. And it's really sad.
It is sad. I'm really sorry to hear that. There's a lot of good people in Texas. Governor Abbott, obviously not being one of them. He needs to get outed, and someone else needs to be a leader, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, somebody with a moral compass, somebody that's willing to work on the other side. His attacks on migrants, his attacks on brown people, his rhetoric is dangerous, and I'm with you 100%. Adrian, thank you so much for what you do out there as the Hood County Democrat chair. I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I'd love to have you on again down the road if that's okay.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, Adrian. You have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Adrian Quinn Martin. She is the Hood County Democrat chair. Boy, Abbott is very special. So we've been talking, and by the way, coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to hear from the other side, which is one thing I do on this show that almost nobody else does, certainly not on Conservative Talk Radio. David Pollock's going to join us in a couple minutes here at the bottom of the hour. He is a staunch conservative and a Trump supporter, so we're going to talk to him in a little bit. So we're hearing this rumblings all over social media, rumblings all over the place. Oh, my God, is Donald Trump going to pull out? Is Donald Trump going to pull out? Is he not? But when I mean pull out, I'm not talking about sexcapades. We know he's done plenty of that in his life, but that's not what I'm referring to. I mean pulling out of the debate on Thursday. And it's pretty simple to me, and I put out a video talking about this, and I put it up on social media today, and it's very simple. And I'm going to try to explain what I'm talking about here in detail. So when he was running for president for the first time against Hillary Clinton in 2016, for literally months before the election, he repeated over and over and over again that the election was going to be rigged, that Hillary was going to cheat, that the Democrats were going to cheat. And then something happened. Donald Trump won. He won the election, as I would say, a free and fair election. And then all those conversations went away for the next several years because he won. Why did he say the election was going to be stolen? Not because he really thought that that was the case, so he can set it up so that if he did lose, he can use it as an excuse. They cheated. I told you it was going to be rigged. Then when he ran against Joe Biden in 2020, the exact same thing happened, but he lost. So then the rhetoric continued, and it's why we had January 6th. It's why they stormed the Capitol. And I don't care whether you label it an insurrection or a riot. It was an embarrassment. People died that day. Over 140 officers were injured. It doesn't happen if Donald Trump doesn't concede the way Hillary Clinton did in 2016. He set it up so that if he loses, he can say they cheated, which they didn't. He's doing the same thing now before the November election, saying that Joe Biden was going to cheat and that it's rigged. He's doing it again, setting himself up so that if he loses, he can use it again as an excuse. Why am I reiterating all this stuff? Well, simply put, it's why he's saying the same stuff about this debate. He's saying that CNN is going to treat him unfairly. His surrogates are saying, look at Jake Tapper. He's one of the moderators. He compared Donald Trump to Hitler. By the way, Jake Tapper compared the verbiage to some of the verbiage that Adolf Hitler uses, which is accurate, by the way. And why is he doing this? Because he's afraid that Thursday could be a bad day for him. Could be a bad debate. So if it is a bad debate, which I believe it will be a bad look for Donald Trump, he can blame CNN and he can blame Jake Tapper. I don't believe he's going to pull out of this debate because it'll make him look really bad. Even among his own supporters, it'll make him look bad. So he's setting himself up for failure in hopes that he could use this as another excuse, like he did in the 2020 election. I believe Joe Biden, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine. You definitely know who she was if I mentioned her name, but the private conversation that we had, and I told her, I do believe Joe Biden's going to do well, but I'm still a little worried. She says, Brian, why are you worried? I said, I'm worried because let's be honest. Joe Biden did well in the State of the Union, but he's old. He has gaffes. And while I understand Donald Trump is old as well and he has plenty of gaffes as well, I'm still worried. And she said, you know what, Brian? Joe Biden's going to do just fine. He's taking this very seriously. He's been doing this for decades. He's run for office over a dozen times. He's been in this rodeo before, and Donald Trump is the one that's scared and worried, and that's why you're hearing the excuses. And I said, okay, I think you're right, but I'm still worried. Just like I'm still worried about the November elections. What do I think is going to happen? Probably similar to what happened in the other debates, only Donald Trump's not going to be able to interrupt. The microphones are going to be turned off. He's not going to be able to interrupt the way he did in that disastrous first debate several years ago. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But don't be duped by Donald Trump. Don't be duped by his administration. Don't be duped, or I should say his former administration. Don't be duped by his surrogates who are making the rounds on television, attacking CNN and attacking Jake Tapper. That is exactly what they were told to do. Set it up so that in case Donald Trump doesn't do well and Joe Biden does well, we could blame CNN. We can blame Jake Tapper. That's exactly what they're setting it up for. Don't be duped. I think Jake Tapper's a really good journalist. I think he's really good at what he does. He's a smart guy. He treats people fair. When he mentioned Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump, he was talking about verbiage. For example, when Donald Trump called Democrats vermin. It's the same type of language that Adolf Hitler used. Now, I'm not a big fan of comparing anybody to Adolf Hitler. Reason being, because Adolf Hitler is responsible for murdering 7 million Jews, among many others. Now, you could say a lot of things about Donald Trump, and I am the last person who would ever defend him, but I don't believe Donald Trump is a murderer. So I don't necessarily agree with that verbiage, but I also understand why some people will compare some of the language to Adolf Hitler. People that I think should be compared to Adolf Hitler, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, Assad, Yasser Arafat when he was alive, Saddam Hussein. If you're an evil, murderous dictator, then I think it's fair. Now, I think Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator. I think he's already said on day one it'll be retribution. I think he's a wannabe dictator. I will certainly be the first person to admit that. But with that being said, I believe CNN will be fair. I believe Jake Tapper will be fair. I think he's a really good journalist. And I think everything will be just fine. Programming note for you, speaking of which, a former presidential debate moderator will be joining us on Thursday. That'll be John Ralston. He's going to be joining us on Thursday to kind of give us a preview. And we're going to get a Trump surrogate on the show this week. We're going to have plenty of others that are going to be joining us throughout the week, at least tomorrow and Thursday. But coming up next, I want to hear from the other side. David Pollack is a friend. He's a conservative talk show host from the David Pollock Show. He's a staunch Republican, and he's a staunch Donald Trump supporter. I'm going to ask him what he expects on Thursday. Is he disappointed that Donald Trump's been playing more golf, it appears, than preparing for this debate? And does he think that Donald Trump is going to back out of this thing? I will ask David Pollock next. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. Before I do so, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. You go over to Jackson's today. Today's Tuesday. You show them your TAM card, and you get $50 in free slot play immediately. How cool is that? Every Thursday, they're giving out at least $1,500 in free gas cards. The more slot machines you play, the more you earn into this electronic drum, and you get $100 free gas card if you win every Thursday. So please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders. You will not be disappointed. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to hear from staunch Donald Trump supporter David Pollock coming up next. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York-style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call, 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey accumulates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com. And get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we got probably the most anticipated presidential debate, certainly in my lifetime. I'm 44 years old, coming up on Thursday. Hosted by CNN. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do feel like this debate probably maybe a little bit more important to Joe Biden than Donald Trump. And, well, we've heard rumblings. And again, these are just people's opinions. It's not verified by anybody that Donald Trump might back out of this thing. And he's giving excuses that it's CNN, it's Jake Tapper. So I certainly want to get everybody's thoughts on that. And we will be taking phone calls here in just a little bit. But joining me right now on the show, he is the host of the David Pollock Show. He is a staunch conservative and a Donald Trump supporter. And it's always appreciated when he joins us. I think he's hanging out at the pool now. I'm very jealous. David Pollock joining us right now on the show. David, it's good to have you on, my friend. How are you?
Good. I'm actually at Aquatica. It's like a SeaWorld water park here in Orlando, Florida.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. I'm a little jealous, actually. I like the dolphins out there. Tell the dolphins and whales I said hello, please.
I'm working on my Dolphinese. I'm getting really good at it. All they do is look at me, though, so I think they're having a hard time understanding me. But, the kids are home for the summer, so we have to find stuff to do here. So
understood. Well, you're a good dad, and it's nice to see that you're doing that. All right, so let me get right to it with you. The rumblings and the opinions of some that say that Trump might back out of this debate on Thursday because he's not happy with CNN or Jake Tapper. Have you seen those rumors, and what do you make of it?
No, I've seen the rumors. There's nothing to them at all. Trump is prepared for this debate. I think it came out of I really don't know where the rumor came from, but there was that interview on CNN where one of the Trump surrogates was kind of cut off, and there's been a lot of social media chatter about the unfairness of Jake Tapper, and I really just think that's setting up the stage. I really don't think Trump is planning to back out of this debate under any.
So I agree with what you said on the latter end there. He's not backing out, but I think they're doing it as a ploy to make excuses that if the debate doesn't go very well, they can blame somebody else. They can blame Jake Tapper. They can blame CNN. Just like if he loses an election, they could say it was rigged. They could say they cheated. I mean, that's how I feel. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, you know how I feel about it. I think Trump's going to do okay. I think I was actually talking about this yesterday on the show. I think I'm raising expectations for Joe Biden. I think a lot of people think he's not going to do very well. He's going to be the guy we saw in Europe versus the guy we saw at the State of the Union. I think he's going to be well rested. He's been at Camp David for a couple of days now, rest enough. And so I think he'll be ready to go. I think he'll be able to put on a good performance. But I still don't think he's going to do enough to, and I know you're going to take issue with what I'm about to say. I don't think he's going to do enough to overcome the deficiencies in his record. We have two United States presidents debating on one stage. Kind of cool. And so they actually have records as United States presidents to debate about. I mean, it's not just one candidate or a governor or somebody who hasn't been president. We have two actual people who served as president. And that's really the debate. It's my record versus your record. And at the end of the day, whichever candidate can articulate their record to the viewers, I think wins the debate.
Well, I will give you this. Donald Trump definitely has a record. He's a 34-count felon. So I'll definitely give you that one. But do you think that Donald Trump is going to muddy the waters and talk about Hunter Biden and talk about the Biden crime family? And do you think that will be smart for him to do, going with the fact that he is a felon himself?
Look, I think the best thing that can happen to Donald Trump in this debate is Joe Biden say something about him being a felon, and let me explain why. Joe Biden has somehow, I mean, at least not in my circles, but as far as the mainstream is concerned, has somehow insulated himself from the Jack Smith prosecutions, from what's happening in New York. There has been some accusations that he's had interactions with Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg, but he's been able to, I think, successfully in the mainstream insulate himself from these prosecutions. I don't think spiking the football in the day Trump got this verdict. I don't think that was the right move for a president. But that being said, if on the debate stage he calls Trump a felon or brings attention to these felonies, then he owns that. And I think that's going to be a really bad look for President Biden. So I don't think he's going to go there. I really don't think he'd be advised that way.
Explain to me why, though. Why do you think it's a bad look to speak the facts, which is Donald Trump is a 34-count felon?
Sure, but that's a talking point for a surrogate. It's a talking point for a pundit. If a United States president spikes the football on his opponent about him being convicted in court with crimes that a lot of people find to be a weak case at best, I just think that he's going to end up owning those convictions at that point. And that's not the look he wants. Now, he could go there. I think it'd be a great thing for Donald Trump, because everyone would be like, that was the most dictatorial thing we've ever seen a president do. I think if Joe Biden wants to win this debate, if anybody actually ever wins a debate, I think and I think is probably what he's been advised on. He's going to try to push Trump on the things that he pushed Trump on in 2020. It's going to be January 6th. It's going to be the 2020 election. It's going to be COVID. He's going to go back to 2020. At the end of the day, I don't think that's going to be the best strategy, because we're not in 2020 anymore. We're in 2024. Okay.
So that might be true, but here's what I take issue with what you just said, with all due respect. You talk about talking points, and that should be for pundits. Every speech Donald Trump now is talking about how Joe Biden is on drugs, or he's going to get a shot in the ass. Hunter Biden talking about the Biden crime family. Joe Biden's in the bunker. He's got Alzheimer's. Literally almost every word out of Donald Trump's mouth is a talking point or a personal attack. So, I mean, where is the criticism for that? It's every word out of Donald Trump's mouth.
Well, I'll tell you where the criticism, you have the criticism for that, right? So you have to ask yourself a question at the end of the day. Do you want your candidate to be like Donald Trump? Now, I like Donald Trump and I like the way he is.
No,
you don't.
No,
That's
I
your
want Joe
objective
Biden
to
to
him.
be, I don't. I want Joe Biden to be
Right.
factually accurate. Nothing that Donald Trump says is usually ever factually accurate. The fact
that
of the
was my
matter is,
point.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a liable sexual abuser.
Now,
So,
he's not a convicted felon yet. He has been, there's a verdict. It's not actually a conviction until he's sentenced. So just
he
to clear
will.
the record.
Which he
yes,
will.
he's going to be sentenced. That is true. He's going to be sentenced on
Right.
July 11th. But then there
Well,
will
listen,
be appeals.
If Donald Trump wants to come up with actually something that is fact-based about Joe Biden's record, then I have no problem with that. And let
And he
Joe
will.
Biden.
He will.
Then I have no problem with that. But everything I hear from Donald Trump, especially lately, are lies. Joe Biden's a criminal, that he's been getting shots in the ass, that he's on drugs. I mean,
I kind of think it's the same thing, to be honest with you. I think he's in one of those tanks from Star Wars. I forget what the name of them. You know, that's all you when you rejuvenate yourself. I see him suspended in these tanks with like the bubbles going by him, and he's going to emerge like a few years younger, just for the time for the debate.
I mean, David, that's funny. That's funny, and I get what you're saying. But at the same time, you of all people know there's no direct evidence that Joe Biden is taking any drugs. And the fact that you have...
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't have the evidence, but I would argue that there's some suspicion. And listen, there's two Joe Bidens, right? There's the Joe Biden that we see at the State of the Union, the Joe Biden that we're probably going to see at debate night. And then there's the Joe Biden we saw in Europe. Like, literally, nobody, even you, I'm going to use your line. I think we can all agree that there was some behaviors in Europe that were suspicious. Even our European partners were like, something's up here. So we get certainly two different Joe Bidens. When he's tired, he tends to look a little bit more elderly. And so the drug thing comes from the fact that you get two different Joe Bidens, a guy who looks totally clueless and a guy who's somewhat coherent. But I think that's where that comes from. Just like Trump's not going to skip the debate, but there's a rumor that he is.
Right. So would it be unfair to me to say you have two different Donald Trumps? You have the Donald Trump that showed up at the White House when Barack Obama invited him. And then you have the Donald Trump that confuses Nancy Pelosi's name with Nikki Haley's name, who says you need ID to buy bread, who says Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq, among other ridiculous claims.
I've heard your side try to make comparisons.
But I don't say that Donald Trump is on drugs. I don't say that Donald Trump is drugged up. I just say he's a moron who's old and he's a bumbling idiot. I've said those things, but I'm not saying he's taking shots.
I think he's in much better physical health than Joe Biden. He walks more confidently. He doesn't do that scurry. He's definitely more cognitively superior when he's. And look, this guy is doing debates. Debates. This guy's doing rallies. He's doing appearances. He's literally traveling every single day at a new event every single day.
I mean,
Joe Biden has to rest for a week before he can debate.
Well, I mean, doing this dance where it looks like he's performing a sexual favor on two men, that's a very strenuous activity. So I'll give you that.
Listen, it's Pride Month. How can you knock it?
I'll leave that one alone. But as far as cognitive decline, I'm not a doctor. I know that you're not a doctor. Most of the people that are making
I have a Juris Doctorate degree. I don't know if I can call myself a doctor, but I'm I'm as much of a doctor as Jill Biden is.
Fair enough, but I wouldn't go that far because she actually has a degree. But I will say, well, yeah, but come on. I mean, I think we could. It's not.
We
fair
both
to
have doctorate degrees. I'm just saying. I don't call myself doctor.
But
anyway.
The reason why I'm saying that is because other than Dr., as Trump would call him, Dr. Johnson instead of Dr. Jackson, making the claim that he's on these drugs, and then when he's asked, well, what drug do you think Joe Biden would be taking? He can't name the drug. I just think it's a beyond idiotic argument to make. And it is interesting because Donald Trump said on May 15th, I have the audio. On May 15th, Donald Trump said that Joe Biden, terrible debater. And then the other day, he said he's a good debater. So which one is it?
I mean, I guess we'll see which one it is. It just depends on how much drugs they give him, right? No, I don't know. It could go either way. Look, I mean, I'm intrigued. I think I don't know if they're going to be sitting or kneeling on stools or however the format of the debate is certainly going to be an interesting one to watch. The muting and everything. It could be a very good debate. It could just be two people arguing policies. It could devolve into shouting and look like grumpy old men. Sure. I guess we're going to see whether it's a good debate or not, and we'll see if Joe Biden's a good debater or not. I think certainly Donald Trump has more to gain than lose here. Because, look, you've set the expectations that you have for Donald Trump, right? So if that version of Donald Trump shows up, you're going to be reinforced in your belief that that's not somebody you would support. Now, if the Joe Biden that you're hoping shows up, but we get the European Joe Biden, that might sway some people and convince them that, wait a minute, we were expecting him to do better than we thought he was going to do. And this wasn't State of the Union Joe Biden. This wasn't the Joe Biden we saw speaking the other. This is a different Joe Biden. Joe Biden has to prove to people that he is mentally fit. I think Donald Trump really didn't have anything to lose from this debate. I think Joe Biden certainly does.
I don't think there's a large contingency of people in this country where Joe Biden has to prove anything. Democrats are still going to be voting for Joe Biden. He's speaking to the moderate Republicans, quite frankly, who many of them already said they will not vote for Donald Trump, but they're not yet ready to vote for Joe Biden. Democrats are voting for Joe Biden. I think most independents will be voting for Joe Biden and not Donald Trump. I think we're talking about those moderate Republicans. And I'm not discounting Thursday. I agree with you. This is an important debate. It's probably more important to Joe Biden than Donald Trump. I want to go back to Jake Tapper for a moment, Dave, if I can. Yeah. So there are some that are saying that Jake Tapper, he's a terrible journalist. He's a liar. And I'm trying to understand where this is coming from. He did bring up Adolf Hitler's name in talking about Donald Trump. While I don't like it when people do that, he was specifically talking about the verbiage, the use of the term vermin, and other things that Donald Trump has said. And somehow the right is taking that as Donald Trump's or Jake Tapper's not a journalist. He's a liar. Where are all these attacks coming from, and why are they attacking Jake Tapper?
Well, look, I mean, I watched that video. He compared Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. He said his talking points were similar to Adolf Hitler.
The verbiage, correct.
But this is and I don't want to take it too far into a tangent, but when those big European elections happened a couple of weeks ago, the news outlets were talking about rejecting climate policy and rejecting migration is similar to fascists and Nazis. Like this whole idea that we're going to call people Nazis when we disagree with them, that is a problem. And if one of the moderators of the debate has compared one of the candidates to a Nazi, he's probably not your most objective debater. But guess what? I don't even care if he's biased. This is CNN. CNN has never been really favorable to Donald Trump. You can't find an anchor at CNN that's going to be like, we love Trump. It's not going to be, it's never been for Republicans.
You shouldn't have a moderator that loves any politician. You should have a moderator.
I agree with you.
And if you're speaking about Nazis, I mean, it was people like Marjorie Taylor Greene that called people Nazis that had their kids wear masks during COVID. I think you have a lot more Republicans that use the term Nazi than Democrats that do that. And I would also
the term is overused in entirety. So,
it very well might be overused, but Jake Tapper never called Donald Trump a Nazi. Nobody at CNN that's paid, and as far as my estimation goes, has ever called Donald Trump a Nazi. They have compared some of his language. And you're telling me you would rather have Jesse Waters or Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham moderate a debate other than Jake Tapper?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't want any of those people moderating debate, and I'm going to tell you why. Secretly, they probably dislike Trump as much as Jake Tapper. And the problem that Republicans have, especially Donald Trump, is that he goes into these environments expecting a friendly moderator, and really what they're doing is looking to pinch him. So I don't think it matters the moderator we're going to have. I really don't. Look, if people are going to take issue with Donald Trump, they take issue with Donald Trump. Donald Trump's concern isn't the moderator. Donald Trump's concern is going to be outlining what the success of his policies versus the success of Joe Biden's. If he can maintain his composure, I think he does okay. I mean, I'm not worried about the bias of the moderator. I'm a Republican my entire life. I have seen moderators biased. So we never walk into a debate going, no, this one's going to be good for us. We always just have to survive. So it's going to be interesting no matter what.
I agree with you. I don't think the moderator should matter that much. But again, my question to you would be, if that's the case, which, by the way, I agree with you on, then why are the Trump surrogates whining like little bitches at every interview they do about CNN? Donald Trump wasn't forced to do this. He agreed to do it. Nobody forced him. He knew it was going to be CNN that was moderating this.
Well, I think you said it earlier. I think they're setting the stage, because I think what they're doing is getting ahead of what might be an instance where he's not allowed to finish a thought. He gets cut off. If they treat him fairly, even though they don't like him, if they treat him fairly, then so what? But if they treat him unfairly, the surrogates went out ahead of time and we're able to at least say, we told you this was going to happen. And look, that's just good. That's just good campaigning, is getting out ahead of a potential issue so you can call back to it if it occurs. If it doesn't, so what?
Yep. Well, guess what, David? I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the debate when it's done. I know we'll get you back on the show maybe next week. I'm going to let you get back to I'm going to let you get back to your kids, which are far more important to me. David, I do appreciate you always taking the time to come on. David Pollock, the host of the David Pollock Show. Have a good time with your kids, my friend, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. You know I show up for you, so I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, David. Thank you so much. That's David Pollock, everybody. Always like hearing his perspective from the side of somebody that is on the right, and I appreciate him talking. So if you haven't had an opportunity to hear this, I want to play this for you right now. So we were talking a little bit, and let me start with Caroline, who is a surrogate for the Donald Trump campaign. She appeared on this show last week, and I give her credit for doing so, and we're going to try to get her back on this week. So she's a surrogate for the Trump campaign. She's paid by the Donald Trump campaign to be a surrogate, and she joined us on the show last week. But this is the CNN interview yesterday that we are talking about, where she was cut off right in the middle of it because she decided to attack Jake Tapper, and she was cut off. Have a listen to this.
I'm going to stop this interview if you're going to keep attacking my colleagues. Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with her being cut off. I have a problem with the interview being over. I think maybe you give her another chance and say, I'm going to give you one more chance. You're going to stop attacking my colleagues, and you're going to answer my questions directly. I would have given her maybe one more chance, but I don't think that was so egregious. What's egregious is what the convicted criminal Steve Bannon is saying. So this is Steve Bannon now saying, if CNN doesn't apologize to Trump's spokesperson after she tried to use her time on the network to attack Jake Tapper, that Trump should actually cancel the debate, which is ludicrous. Oh, by the way, Steve Bannon's reporting to jail July 1st. Have a listen to this.
I've never seen such disrespect. They have never in the history of television ever taken a national press secretary and treated her with such lack of respect. Cassie Hunt owes you an apology. CNN owes you an apology today. And if we don't get that apology to Caroline Leavitt and to the Trump campaign and to MAGA today, President Trump should cancel this.
Absolutely and positively ridiculous, coming from the criminal beached whale, Steve Bannon himself, who's looking more and more every day like he's going to have a heart attack. You want to talk about a lack of respect? She comes on the show and she's asked about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And then she takes the opportunity to attack a member of CNN. And you want to talk about respect or a lack thereof? How many times has Donald Trump gone after our brave men and women in uniform? I don't respect him because he was captured. Gone after women based on looks, gone after minorities. These Mexicans, they're rapists and they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. Blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever, calling women ugly, basically. And Steve Bannon, who probably is the last person on the planet to be even spelling the word respect and talking about it on his stupid podcast. By the way, I wonder if he's going to be doing his podcast in his jail cell starting July 1st. You want to talk about a lack of respect? Are you effing kidding me? When a surrogate comes on a show, their job is to defend their candidate that they work for and talk about their opponent. This woman who appeared on CNN, if she came on this show and she started personally attacking me or personally started to attack people that I work with at the radio station, I would have had a serious problem with that and I would have potted her down. But she didn't do that. She said things that I disagree with, but I let her go. And we had a conversation. She didn't do that with me, but she did that with CNN. Let me tell you something. If you want to use the term credibility, who has more credibility? If you're capable, MAGA world, my fellow MAGA buffoons, who has more credibility when it comes to a journalistic perspective? Jesse Waters or Jake Tapper? Sean Hannity or Jake Tapper? Mark Levin or Jake Tapper? Laura Ingraham or Jake Tapper? Tucker Carlson or Jake Tapper? Who would you say is more honest? Who is willing to interview the other side and treat them with respect? Who is more dignified in what they do? Now, if you're not a biased idiot and you don't drink the orange Kool-Aid, and obviously you would say Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper is going to do his job on Thursday. He's going to be a good moderator. He's going to show integrity, and he's going to call out BS as any moderator should. The last time I moderated a debate, it was an event that I regret going to. It was a gubernatorial debate hosted by an organization called Veterans in Politics, and there are some good people within that organization, and I did these debate. I was a moderator for one reason, because I respect our veterans and those that serve this country. But there were a bunch of MAGA buffoons in that room. And I will always remember one of the people that were asking questions asked, do you believe Donald Trump won the 2020 election? 9 out of the 12 people that were candidates to be governor said yes. As the moderator, it's your job to separate fact from fiction, not opinion. It is not an opinion when you say Donald Trump won the 2020 election. That is factually inaccurate. Why is it factually inaccurate? Because there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud that's been proven that could have changed the outcome of the election. Pretty simple stuff, right? Someone who's fairly intelligent, average intelligence maybe. So what did I do? I interjected, and after they all answered, I didn't interrupt, and I said, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election. All hell broke loose in that room. They told me to get off the stage. They were yelling at me. They were screaming at me. I was treated with the utmost disrespect because there were a lot of idiots in that room that were very stupid people. Some of those people in that room ran for office, and they got embarrassed. It is the job of the moderator to be professional, but to be able to separate fact from fiction. If somebody says the earth is flat, you say, no, ma'am, no, sir. There's no evidence that the earth is flat. The earth is round. No, ma'am, no, sir. Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. It's okay to be opinionated. It's not okay to lie or spread misinformation. And that's what I did, and that's what the job of the moderator is. Jake Tapper, this isn't his first go-around. I'm sure he'll do just fine. We heard the same attacks of Bret Baier. Fox News' very own Bret Baier, we heard the same attacks from Trump surrogates. They're doing it again with Jake Tapper. I do want to play you one more clip, though, before I go to break. This is Ron DeSantis, and I can't believe I'm going to say this on the show. Folks, are you ready for it? I am actually agreeing pretty much wholeheartedly with what Ron DeSantis had to say yesterday about Donald Trump and his cognitive decline. Have a listen to this.
I would say go out, get rid of your teleprompter. Don't use that as a crutch. Go to debates. Show up in debate for 2 hours. And then we'll be able to see kind of where he's really coming from. So we've seen over the course, every interview, every time he's gotten off the teleprompter for like the last 2 months, they've had to clean things up for what he's saying. So I just want to see, the Donald Trump, this is a different Donald Trump. In 2016, he was freewheeling. He's out there barnstorming the country, doing all this. Now it's just a different guy. And that's just, it's sad to see.
I mean, here's the part where maybe I disagree. I'm not sure he's a different guy. I think he's the same jerk. He's the same bigot. Maybe he's just getting a little bit older and he's much more forgetful with names and stuff. But I do agree with most of what Ron DeSantis said. By the way, Ron DeSantis has endorsed Donald Trump. So I think that's all you need to know about Ron DeSantis, another Republican idiot with no backbone. All right, so I'm going to open up the phone lines now. 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. You've heard from both sides. It's what I try to do on this show. I try to be fair. Adrienne Quinn Martin is the Hood County Democrat chair, a staunch Democrat. You heard from her on what she thinks about what's going to happen on Thursday. You just heard from David Pollack. He's a friend. He's the host of the David Pollack Show, a staunch conservative and Trump supporter. You've heard from both sides, and now I want to hear from you. What do you want to see happen Thursday? What do you make of the fact that some think that Donald Trump is going to pull out of this debate? What do you make of the fact that they're all claiming that Joe Biden is on drugs or he's going to be shot in the ass, with some sort of I don't know, some sort of shot that for whatever reason would help his performance. What do you make of all this stuff? Again, that number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, the number 702-221-7283. Your call's next. We'll take a big break. We'll be back right after this with Chris Wynn. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call, 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com. And get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday. You know, we do have some fun on this show. And tomorrow, while we will be previewing the debate tomorrow with some very special guests, we're going to have a lady coming in studio that specializes how to keep relationships fun and how to stay together when it comes to political differences. How cool is that? We have a professional coming in about relationships. I know people that have been divorced, people that have split up because of having political differences. And so we're going to be giving out some advice, and we're going to be taking some calls on that. But we just had David Pollack on the show, staunch Republican and Trump supporter. We had Adrian Quinn Martin on, the Hood County Democrat chair. We got both sides. And now residential liberal of the Pushing the Limits radio show, a proud liberal, and he's very unapologetic for it. Chris Wynn joining us in studio to talk a little bit about his thoughts on the debate. Chris, thanks for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brad. Good to join you, obviously, on a Tuesday. Thanks, Numchuck, for a little audio there. Hey, I want to applaud you, Mr. Shapiro, for having me on after that 7-layer loser, complete jackass David Pollack on the show.
I don't think
top-notch comments, and very credible individual that I get to come on afterwards and actually discuss the debate. from a standpoint that is logical and makes sense. It's
Well,
going to be a lot of fun.
David's
so,
a nice guy, and I certainly
hold on.
That's fine. David's a nice guy, and I wouldn't certainly characterize him as a loser. I would say that I disagree with him.
I just did.
I would disagree.
And there's a number of reasons why I would do that, but yeah.
I would disagree with a lot of the things that he said, but I wouldn't characterize him as a loser. I think when I characterize someone as a loser, like a Steve Bannon or a Marjorie Taylor Greene or people on the far right that show blatant disrespect towards others for lies and reasons that are not true. But anyway, let's move on here, and I want to
debate time, bro. Debate. We're going to talk a little debate action about Thursday.
So before I open up the phone lines, and I think we have one phone line open at 702-221-7283. So the rumors the last 24 hours have been, oh my God, is Trump going to bail out of the debate because of the attacks on CNN and Jake Tapper, and he thinks it's unfair, even though, by the way, Donald Trump is the one that agreed to do the debate.
Right.
No one forced him to do it. I don't think that's going to happen. I gave my reasons why. I don't think he's going to back out. He's just using it as an excuse in case things don't go his way on Thursday. Would you agree with that assessment?
I think he's not going to, in my personal opinion, I don't think he's going to back out of the debate. Okay, this is going to be a direct contrast to the two individuals, Brian Shapiro. It's going to be a contrast between Joe Biden, who is the president of the United States, and who is somebody who is a serious person, and who is going to try, he's going to try to talk about issues, all right, and actually talk about serious things that the American people want to address and that they want either fixed or adjusted or changed or just flat out cared about when it comes to the chief executive of the United States. Donald Trump is not going to do that, all right? Donald Trump does not have policies, all right? Donald Trump does not operate in that fashion. Donald Trump is going to, you used the phrase just a matter of minutes ago, he is going to try to muddy the waters, all right? He is going to try to drag Joe Biden into a petty, nonsensical, I guess discussion is the word I'll use, with respect to things like, anecdotal stories about migrants killing Americans, right? He's going to try to, it's going to, essentially going to be Donald Trump. When I say direct contrast, Brian, I'm talking about Joe Biden actually has taken this seriously. He's actually doing debate prep at camp. He's been doing it at Camp David all week long. What has Donald Trump been doing as far as prep? Zero. Donald Trump is going to wing it on Thursday. That's what he is going to do. He's going to fly by the seat of his pants because that's what Donald Trump does. That is his approach to this entire situation. So that's what we're going to see on Thursday. It's going to, there's going to be a small element here of a theme that is a terrible narrative that's out there that disgusts me. This whole idea of the lowest common denominator of cognitive decline, right? There's going to be an element of that between both of these individuals. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is some guy that has dementia and is some clown. And I'm not even saying that necessarily about Donald Trump because I'm not a medical professional, and so I should not be making that assessment. But I think there's going to be an element of that here in this debate. But you cannot make a more distinct, you can't even point out a more distinct difference between what Joe Biden plans on doing with respect to actual credible topics in this debate as to what Donald Trump is going to do on Thursday night.
All right, there you go. Chris's take. Now let's take up some phone calls. Chris is all jacked up and ready to go today.
Because it's just, it's just like...
now the callers, maybe some of the MAGA callers can call in and get Chris going a little bit
your
more.
only take, because David, when I talked about David Pollock, man, your only take is that, because I have him on my show and he's nice to me, that's your idea of him not being a scumbag and a complete piece of garbage. And you apparently haven't done, I don't know if you've done enough research as to what it is that he actually says on when he's on social media and when he's actually out there. But I think you need to do a deeper dive, bro, into what David Pollock actually has said and what he actually does.
Okay, so again, I don't care what your personal opinions are
it's
on
not a personal opinion.
That I had on the show.
It's actually what he is.
Okay.
It's actually who he is as a person.
Well, I disagree with you because I know him personally, and I don't want to waste more valuable airtime by having your opinions on what you think personally about a guest.
I'm here on
I go
your
by
show
what he says. I go by what he says on this show. If you're happy, I'm happy to have you talk about that, but not personally what you think of somebody, because I think that's just a waste of time. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Ed first? Ed is first up on PTL. Hi, Ed. What's going on?
Hey, Brian, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thanks, Ed.
Before I get into my topic, I want to give a shout out to Lori Mays, big friend of mine. She's also a big fan of the show, and to all the rest of the bots on Facebook. Anyways, let me get to my topic.
Hold on a second. What do you mean? What do you mean bots? What do you mean bots on Facebook? I'm confused by that statement.
Oh, I mean, if you look at your chat on like Facebook Live, it's mostly bots.
Oh, okay. So here, let me just correct you on that. I know that you're trying to take a cheap shot of what I do, but that's okay.
No.
All right.
Brian, I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I think the other side does it too.
Okay.
I'm not.
Well, let me just hold on a second. That's okay. I'm not getting defensive. I'm just letting you know that I have about 50 to 1,000 views per day of the show. Those are not bots. And I also take calls from throughout the country, people like you, but people throughout the country that call into the show every day. I don't think you're a bot. So I think the bots are the people that
50 to 1,000. You have way more than that.
Per day.
50 to 1,000.
50 to 100,000 people that listen to the show. Yeah.
1,000. That's
100%. I understand. I understand what you're saying. I'm not taking away from the type of show you do.
Okay.
I disagree with a lot of the things you say, but
okay. So give me an example. Give me an example. Let's have a conversation, and I'd love to do this with you, my friend. Give me like the biggest thing that I say on this show that you disagree with, and let's talk about it together. What do you disagree with me the most? You say you disagree with a lot of things. Give me like the number one thing, if you can, sir, and let's talk about it.
Well, I would want. The first thing I would say, I think it's not fair to categorize 80 million people as a cult.
Never did. Once again, you're mischaracterizing what I said, and this is why I get frustrated with people like you. When have I ever said on this show that everybody who supports Donald Trump is a cult? I never said that. What I did say is, no, you're wrong, with all due respect.
Brian.
No, don't Brian me.
Come on.
Why don't you listen? Take the MAGA wax out of your ears and listen, okay,
you
Mr.
never
Bot?
said all 80 million.
Hey, Mr. Bot.
Never
hey,
said
Mr. Bot. I want you to listen now, Mr. Bot. Okay, can I call you?
My name's Ed.
I don't care what your name is. Pod him down. Pod the jackass down. Hey, Mr. Bot. Mr. Jackass Bot. What I did say, get the MAGA wax out of your ears, dumbass. What I did say is that the people who travel with Donald Trump, who show up at his rallies at 7 o'clock in the morning and buy his gold sneakers like you do, dumbass, the people that buy the Donald Trump Bibles, and when he says I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would still support me, it'd be moron MAGA-bots like you. You're part of a cult, jackass.
Wait a minute. Is this? No, wait. Time out, Brian. Ed. You're Ed Tang. You said Ed. You're Ed Tang, right? You're Ed Tang, right?
Ask Tang do it.
Okay, so wait. Time out. Ed Tang. Ed. You're not a Trump guy. You're right. Are you a Democrat or are you like an independent that doesn't like Trump? Because I've read your messages. See, I actually do pay attention, yes, to the Occupy Democrats text line. You're not a Trump guy, right? You're actually a Democrat, right? Or an independent that doesn't like Trump.
I like to challenge myself and challenge other people. It doesn't matter. I don't like to go into those categories. But Brian,
what do you mean, no, time out. I'm not going to let you slide on that. Wait, time out. Challenge yourself. What are you talking about? You either have a perspective or you do not have a perspective. So what would you, it's not even categorize yourself. How would you describe yourself with respect to politics? Where is your stance? Where are you?
On top.
You're what?
On top.
On top of what? Are you just trying to be funny? I mean, it's not really funny. I mean,
all right.
What's
so
up?
That was a waste.
Bad
so
comedy.
that was a waste.
Bad comedy.
Okay, so that was a waste.
Terrible
of three,
comedy.
That was a waste of 3 minutes of time.
Yes.
Bye bye, Ed. Bye bye, Mr. Bot. 702-221-7283 is the number to call.
Yeah, Shep, we're looking. I'm looking
let's
at
go.
the text
All
thread.
right, who cares? Yeah,
Shapiro.
Cares?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
I know
702-221.
That's in the theme of the.
Let's go to
first
Vivian.
5 minutes of the show.
Vivian is next up on PTL. What's up, Vivian?
Hi, Brian and Chris. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Yes.
Okay, you know your guest you just had on, I know he likes to play the pretzel and twist himself around trying to support Trump, but he's wrong. And, I like the fact that you don't, really go in his face from the crazy stuff he's saying, because I still don't get why people still like this. I don't get it. Every day I say, why?
Well, I try to talk about this stuff every day. And I know David personally, and while I disagree with a lot of his takes and a lot of his opinions, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there. They're not all bad people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all bad people. There are millions of people out there.
That's why I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple different reasons. Yeah, a couple different reasons, Vivian, and this is the best way I can explain it. I'll explain it to Chris too. Is that if you're a staunch Republican, and you're making money off of being a Republican, you're making money off of supporting Donald Trump. All different people have different reasons why they support Donald Trump, and I'm not defending it, but you're asking me for different reasons why. Everybody has different reasons. Now, yeah, there's a group of people. There's some people that are uneducated, right? There are some people that are brainwashed by Fox News, by Newsmax. And then there are groups of people that make money off of Donald Trump. They could be selling merchandise. They could be doing a podcast. So they have a financial, and again, I'm not defending it. All I'm simply saying is that there are all different reasons as to why. What I can tell you is that they are the loud minority. They are not the silent majority, and I think Chris would certainly agree with me on that.
Yeah, you're not defending it, but you're basically explaining it. I'll do it much more simply. I'll put it this way to the caller and to Brian. It's called 4 letters, MAGA. That's what it is. It's the MAGA crowd, all right? We live in a fact-free world right now where people want to look up into the sky and say that they're not looking northward, all right? We have people that want to look at a lake or look at an ocean and say that it's not wet, all right? That's where we live right now, especially in American politics. That is a place that we are in when it comes to all people that are MAGA and people that support Donald Trump. The idea that Donald Trump's even running for president at this point is beyond preposterous and a joke, all right? And it's a disgrace. The man has absolutely no business, and I've talked about this with you, Brian, off the air. I've said it on the air when I've either been in your co-hosting with you or I've hosted the show for you, all right? Donald Trump doesn't not only, I'll do you better. He not only should not be the president of the United States, he shouldn't be a U.S. senator, a United States House of Representatives member. He should not be a governor or a mayor of a city. He should not be on a city council. He has no business whatsoever being in any position of leadership at all, anywhere. All right? I made the joke all the time about how he shouldn't be running a 7-Eleven. Let me tell you something. There's nothing that Donald Trump is, when it comes to a leadership position, has any business being in. He is a complete, all he cares about is himself, elevating his profile, and that's it.
I'm from New York.
Yeah.
So in New York, we already knew this all about him. That's why I'm like, I guess that's why I'm having a hard time about it, because we're from New York.
I have a hard time, too.
I will say this, though.
Too.
Here's where I disagree with Chris, is that if I walked into a 7-Eleven here in Las Vegas and Donald Trump was serving me a Slurpee, I would have absolutely no problem with that. So that's where I disagree. I think.
Yeah, but see, he's telling to the caller. He's telling a joke, but he's actually serious. Yeah, the joke. He's telling a joke, but it actually reaffirms what I just said. Yeah.
He can serve me a Slurpee any day, and I'd be totally okay with that. And I might.
And it's an insult to 7-Eleven managers. It really is, Brian Shapiro. It's an insult to 7-Eleven people that run 7-Elevens.
I like 7-Eleven. I got my pocket peanut butter and jelly sandwiches over there today. I won $5 on a slot machine.
There you go.
I like 7-Eleven. Hey, thank you for the call, Vivian. It's always good to hear from you, dear.
Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Armando. Armando is next on PTL. What's up, Armando?
Hey, Armando.
Hi, Brian. One question, from Jake Tapper. I think I forget the woman's name. Bash, Dana Bash.
Dana Bash. Yeah.
Well, she wasn't the one that was. Dana Bash is the one that's going to moderate. Correct. With Jake Tapper.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So here's a question. I think that they should ask both of them, because they were involved directly, and now directly. Because I think in today's headline, WikiLeaks founders' legal struggles at end. He is absolutely a free man.
Well, he pled guilty. Yep, correct.
And but he has to plead guilty.
Right.
But the thing is, in law, what he did, it was not anything wrong, because he exposed wrongdoing.
Well, he pled guilty. According to the courts, he did break the law, and he's pleading guilty so he can get out of jail. So I would respectfully disagree with you on that. But go ahead. What's your point, sir, when it comes to Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? Go ahead.
Yeah, they should ask that question, because both Trump and Biden had the chance to let him go.
Yeah, that's true.
And
well, I wouldn't have a problem if they asked that question, sir. I think there's a lot of other questions they should ask first, but I wouldn't have a problem if they asked that question. I think that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah, because because I think if you remember, you probably in high school, you probably read about what's his name, Daniel Ellsberg, Pentagon Papers.
I remember. Yep, I remember that.
Okay,
sure.
He actually stole the stuff.
So here's the thing. Let me ask you now, and I'll ask Chris the same question.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think that would be an unfair question, but you only have 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the economy. You want to talk about abortion. You want to talk about threats on our democracy. You want to talk about health care. You want to talk about Ukraine. You want to talk about the Middle East. There are so many prevalent things to bring up in this debate. I think you put that towards the end. Do you agree with me?
Well,
there?
Brian, I would reiterate what you're saying. I agree with you. I would reiterate and say this. I think that the American people don't really necessarily care right now in 2024 about the Julian Assange situation, right? And so it could end up being a dead end if Jake or Dana actually asked both of them the questions. What if both of them said, yeah, we would both pardon him?
Sure.
Okay, I think
Then
it would
you
be
move
a dead
on.
end.
Then
Yeah,
you move on.
And so
Right.
I think that necessarily, I completely agree with you, Brian. I think that's not necessarily a topic that's really on the forefront
Number one question.
of the American people's mind. I know you're not going to ask, hey, Julian Assange, what do you guys
No.
think about the situation?
No.
That's not going to be
Number one question.
something
How
that
long
happens.
did you last with Stormy Daniels? That's the first question that Jake Tapper should ask us.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. Where's Melania? That would be the second question. Let's go to Jeremy. Jeremy is next up on PTL. Hello, Jeremy. How are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy, for calling in. What's on your mind?
My question to you is this debate more of a referendum on Biden than it is on Trump? Is it Biden's debate to lose or Trump's debate to win?
I think that's
kind
a
of putting it in
fair.
sports terms.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, Jeremy. Nobody's ever asked me that, and I'll answer it, and then I'll let Chris answer it. I think this debate might be a little bit more important to Joe Biden than Donald Trump because Donald Trump's base is still going to vote for him. Democrats are still voting for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is speaking to moderate Republicans that have already said, many of them, they're not going to vote for Trump, but they're not willing to vote for Biden either. So he's speaking to them and maybe the independents that are on the fence that want to make sure Joe Biden is still up for the job for another 4 years. So in that aspect, I do think it might be a little more important to Joe Biden than Donald Trump. Chris, would you agree?
Yeah, on 2 points, I would say this. I think it's more important to Joe Biden because I think Joe Biden will actually try to address actual policy, right, and serious issues. And I don't think Donald Trump has any interest whatsoever in doing that. Okay, and Brian had on something I agree with Joe Walsh that said yesterday. What Joe Walsh said yesterday, which is that Donald Trump has no intention whatsoever of engaging in policy. He's not a policy wonk. That's not his approach at all. So I think it's absolutely more important to Joe Biden from that aspect. As far as is it a referendum on either one of them? Not necessarily. Yeah. I do agree with some of the points also you made yesterday with Nick Monsanto as well as Joe Walsh that. I think that Joe Biden just needs to show that he's up for the job, right? That he is someone that still is of sound mind, right? Is someone that actually is a serious person and that does have a concern about taking up the tasks of being president of the United States for 4 more years. I think that's kind of, I know that's a very ambiguous kind of vague description of what to expect from Joe Biden tomorrow, but that's not what Donald Trump's going to do either. Donald Trump is just going to nitpick things. It's politics of grievance for Donald Trump, right? He's going to bring up things that he wants to complain about. He'll probably bring up his trials, right? He'll probably bring up his conviction. He'll definitely engage in opportunities, is the way I'll put it, with Donald Trump, to have grievances, to complain about things, and to say how he's been wronged, and he's going to make it about himself, and it's not going to be anything about the American people when it comes to Donald Trump.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. We're asking callers your thoughts on, well, we heard both sides of the aisle. Adrian Quinn Martin, the Hood County Democrat chair. We just had David Pollack on, staunch Republican, Trump supporter, who Chris Wynn characterized as being a scumbag. I respectfully disagree with that. I know David, he's not a bad guy. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And, of course, the rumblings, not to be confused with Rumble, the rumblings that Donald Trump could be backing out of this debate. They're saying how he's going to be treated unfairly. It's going to be unfair at CNN. Guess what? Nobody forced Donald Trump to do this. He agreed to do it. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's going on, Mark? Mark, are you there? Did we lose Mark? Earth to Mark. All right. Mark, we got to say goodbye, my friend. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. It is interesting, Chris, because I wanted to bring this up real quickly before we go to break. So I never listen to other talk shows in this town, like never. I don't
really know why that's the case.
And
I don't understand why you don't listen to any other radio in town.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Strange,
I'm
but
talking.
it's okay.
No, it's not strange at all because I'll give you my explanation. There's not one right-wing talk show in this town that's worth listening to for 5 minutes.
There's like maybe two or three right-wing shows in town.
Well,
I mean, it's not.
So I'm giving you my answer. Yeah. They're boring. It's the same rhetoric every single day. They don't interview guests that disagree with them. And quite frankly, it's not worth my time. So usually when I hear somebody talking about me, I don't hear it myself. It's from a listener who listens to my show. And I heard there was another talk show host in town yesterday, because I don't really waste my time in doing segments on other shows. The guy was doing.
Well, yeah, you just said why, because you don't listen to any other shows. So why would you do segments about it?
Well, because I just don't care. But apparently, there was a guy in this town with about 5 listeners who did a segment on me and called me an angry liberal and said I worked for a coupon station. Meanwhile, this is the guy. You'll probably know who I'm talking about, but this is I'm not going to mention it by name. But
I don't know why you wouldn't mention his name. We're talking about it on your show right now.
Yeah, but I don't want to give anybody any credit with name recognition. But I will say this: there are people that claim to have 50, 60,000 followers on social media, and then when I look at their engagements and when they put a post up, they don't have more than 2 likes and like the maximum of 1 comment.
Yeah, it's because they purchase followers. Yes.
Right,
It happens all the time.
You have to be a
There's people that
certain
do it all the
type of
time.
insecure individual to not only do an entire segment attacking me, but buy followers and not have the intellectual capability of having guests on that you disagree with, which, by the way, I do on this show every single day. I try to anyway. I like interviewing people that disagree with me on stuff. So I just found it interesting and funny that you got to be doing something right. I guess that's the way I approach it. When there are literally talk shows that do segments about you, I'm not doing segments about them. I'm not talking about them for 45 minutes, maybe mentioning something for 45 seconds, but not 45 minutes. Anyway, I just thought that
Well,
was
a lot of these shows, Brian, the reason why is because it's all about content. It's all about having content and having, contradictory content. I mean, look, all due respect, like you just had on David Pollack, right? You have him on for content. We're not getting educated by David Pollack when you have him on the show, okay? He's not offering up anything that is credible whatsoever. But it is a contrast to you, right? Because there is this dynamic in America, and I keep harping on this, where there are 2 separate realities, all right? Kellyanne Conway talked about this back in 2015, all right? This whole dynamic of, there are alternative facts. No, they're not, all right? There are the facts, and then there's people that do wish to ignore the facts and go all Gilbert Gottfried from Beverly Hills Cop and say, this over here, we're going to forget about this over here, right? We're just going to pay attention to this over here. That's what it is, all right? We are in an atmosphere, especially in the media, and especially now in 2024 media, because everybody has a voice. Even if your voice has 0 credibility, you still have a quote-unquote voice, and some people have a following, all right? They have people because maybe there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, 10,000 idiots out there that think like they do. And so therefore we tie that because they have 10,000 followers or they have 50,000 followers. People want to equate that to credibility. And the fact of the matter is they do not have it. And that's the atmosphere that we are in right now.
I just find it so funny, though, that people want to do entire segments and in some cases entire shows talking about me. I find it so
It's
pathetic.
about content, Brian. And look, to be honest, to be straightforward with you, there's some times where you're funny and you're like and you create content that would be something that they would be able to that they want to contradict, right? That they want to go after. And so it creates what? Good radio, good podcasting, whatever. So I get it. We understand it. But it is what the phrase, the kind of lame, vague phrase of "it is what it is." That's what it is. What it is. It's out there.
Well, trust me. The day I do an entire hour talking about another show is the day I'll retire on the radio. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-7283. Let's go next to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, Mark?
I wanted to mention 2 things. The first thing on Kennedy, did you hear the last thing he had mentioned on how he wants to jail the reporters on CNN because he's not allowed on the debate stage?
Yeah, that's absurd.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah. That's a guy you said was a good guy.
I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's saying that to make headlines, and he's showing his frustration, and obviously he's wrong in saying that. I think it was hyperbole. I believe if you really had a sit-down conversation with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he wouldn't believe that Jake Tapper deserves to go to jail. I think he's very frustrated.
Right.
He's upset.
The other thing I want to mention is David. He reminds me of the National Enquirer. Years ago, when the Enquirer first came out, every story in the Enquirer was all nonsense. It was UFOs abducting people and turning them into aliens, and it was all nonsense.
Yeah.
Now, the Enquirer got smart. They throw in a real story among a lot of BS, so now you believe everything in the Enquirer. I hope you're listening, David, because I hope you replay this. You are full of it, David, when you stated that Trump is not guilty until the judge makes a sentence. Let me clarify that, pal. The jury decides if guilt or not guilt.
Yeah.
The judge decides on the penalty unless it's a bench trial. Then the judge determines guilt. But the moment that jury said guilty, Trump is a convicted felon. David, get your BS out of here.
Thank you for the call, Mark. I appreciate it.
There we go.
We
Bang.
know that he's guilty.
The call is right, by the way.
Technically,
Yes.
from a court's perspective, technically, he's not a convicted felon. Technically.
Okay, so wait, time out.
Until
So for the
he's
last
sentenced.
2 weeks plus, Brian, so everybody's just wrong in the media that has been calling Donald Trump a convicted felon. Everybody's just falsely. It's just from a technicality standpoint, they're all just wrong
So
in the
the
media.
jury.
Is that what we're saying here?
So here's my
Because David Pollack
here's my
tries to split hairs about something.
So here's my understanding from the court's perspective. A jury has already convicted Donald Trump on 34 felony counts. However, from the verbiage from a court's perspective, here's where David is right. Until he's actually sentenced, he's not officially a convicted felon. It's kind of like saying this, Chris.
It's called splitting hairs. I just said it. I just used the phrase.
Hold on.
Yes.
Let me just give you an analogy of what I'm trying to say here, which I think will make some sense. So the Boston Celtics won an NBA championship, but they don't actually get the ring yet. Until a short time later. They don't have their championship ring. Are they a champion? Yes, but they didn't get
I understand your
their ring
analogy,
yet.
but it's not really a great one. But I
well,
understand
it
the
is.
analogy you're trying to make. But
702-221.
having a ring doesn't make you the NBA champion. It's just a ring that you're putting on your finger that is a celebration of after the fact of winning a championship.
Well,
I mean, you're kind of giggling, but I'm telling you.
I'm not giggling. It's a technicality. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Gary. Gary's next on PTL. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, Brian. He talk. I'm not mentioning no names. You don't want to mention nobody's names. I listened to that episode yesterday. He mentioned you for about a minute, 20 seconds, and he made fun of you. Pot him down,
That's a long time.
Yeah,
a minute 20, Gary, is a long time. That's a long time at radio.
He said 45 minutes. I heard 45 minutes.
I don't even know which show. I don't even know which show you're talking about.
Gary, you can say the guy's name. It's not going to.
No,
it doesn't
don't
matter.
say. We don't need to say names.
We
don't.
It's kind of childish, guys. We can be adults, and we can.
All I want to say.
If we want to talk about people on the air, we don't have to avoid their names. We can say their names. All right. Yeah.
Before I get potted down or Brian changes the subject, I'm going to laugh so hard when a Spanish conglomerate buys this radio show and puts you guys out of business. There.
That doesn't make any sense. What you just said doesn't make any sense, Gary. I'm sorry.
Compadre.
Gary, you've been in the sauce pretty early this morning. Yeah, it's not making any sense. What you just said makes zero.
Okay,
absolutely zero sense.
All right, so I know.
Why don't you guys stop inciting violence? Stop inciting violence.
Okay, so let me try to respond.
He's just talking gibberish now, Brian.
Okay,
that's
so
all he's doing. Yeah.
Okay, so let me now try to respond to Gary. Gary, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I don't know why I should hang up on you like you hang up on me.
Gary, I'm trying to have a conversation with you, Gary, okay? Gary, how have I ever incited violence? Can you give me an example of that, please?
Just what you were just saying.
What was I saying?
Insulting everybody left and right. A guy is trying to be reasonable with you, and before you know it, you're calling of all this.
Okay, so hold on.
Derogatory things.
So let me understand.
Even
Gary,
Chris, you won't even let Chris come and be
Gary,
reasonable.
Gary,
you cut Chris
okay, so
off.
Gary, slow down here. So if I call somebody a goon or a buffoon, you interpret that as inciting violence? Can you please explain
The guy
that?
was trying to have a reasonable conversation.
So Gary,
with you.
you don't like the fact that I insulted somebody. And if you explained yourself in that tone, I would disagree with you or I would defend myself. But that's not inciting violence. Do you know what inciting violence means? It means, boy, somebody should beat the crap out of that person. I hope somebody punches that guy in the face, and then I'll pay their legal fees.
Yeah.
Gary, do you not understand the difference between calling somebody a buffoon and inciting violence?
I'm not talking about.
No, I am. No, yes, we are.
And Gary, and let me chime, Brian, let me chime in on this. Okay, I would make Gary, listen up, Gary, listen up, brother. Let me talk to you. I would make the argument that I have been more of a person in the last 40 minutes of this show. I have been someone who would instigate more of that type of feeling than Shapiro has. Okay. Shapiro's been kind of like, acting like the level-headed guy in this entire exchange between him and myself in this past 40 minutes.
So
I would make that argument.
Okay, so hold on, Gary. Hold on, Gary. My turn now.
Yeah.
So you just gave a bad example. Let's get back here to how I incite violence, which clearly I did not. Now let's go to another. Now, horrible example. I'm going to give you another chance. You called me a liar, okay? Can you give me examples of me either inciting violence or lying? Because the first example of inciting violence was not true. Just because you call somebody a goon or a buffoon or whatever
Doesn't incite violence.
That's not inciting violence, Gary. So give me another example.
Here you go with the examples. No.
There I go with the examples. So I could just call somebody a liar and give up no.
I had enough. You're giving me a headache, man.
All right, I've had enough too. Have a nice day. You're a liar.
Brian, let me help you out.
Gary,
you're getting way too intellectual with Gary. Okay?
Gary, you're inciting.
You're trying to give like a measured.
Gary.
No, he's gone. He's gone.
You're
Brian.
inciting violence, Gary. Gary, stop inciting violence. You're a liar.
You're overthinking it with Gary. Okay, you're overthinking it. All right,
No,
don't try to get too much into an intellectual discussion.
Not overthinking anything.
He has a bad take. Just refute his bad take and then go from there.
That's what I do. I ask him a question, and that's how I refute it. I don't think that's not overreacting. 702-221.
I didn't say you're overreacting.
7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on PTL. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brian. How are you doing?
Julie, I'm doing okay. Why don't you have a conversation with Chris today, and let's take a day off. What do you think about that?
It's up to Chris.
Yeah. Go ahead, Julie. You're talking to Chris.
Little weird, awkward silence right there,
Julie,
I will say.
Julie, go ahead and have a conversation with Chris today, and I'll let you guys duke it out. Go ahead, Julie. I'm staying out of it.
It's not even a conversation. What do you have to say, Julie? Give me some ammo. What do you got?
Why are you so concerned about Donald Trump playing golf for the last several days?
Well, I'm not upset about it. Look, I explained it at the top of my segment here at 1:00 Pacific Standard Time. I said Donald Trump is not going to take this debate seriously from a topics or issues standpoint. Donald Trump is going to, as Brian Shapiro said, muddy the waters. All right, he's going to take an approach of grievance across the board, and that's what Donald J. Trump is going to do in this debate. Joe Biden would prefer to talk about things that matter. Donald Trump does not. Very simple take. What do you think about that?
Are you a visionary? Are you guessing what's going to happen on
it's called making a prediction. Debate? It's called having a take on the radio, on Brian's, on PTL Vegas here. It's called having an opinion. It's why I'm on the show. It's why I came on for an hour today, is to discuss the debate and what I think is going to actually happen.
Well, hold on, let me interject.
You are entitled.
Let me just interject. Hold on.
Did I do enough job describing what it is that I feel is going to happen? Now, Julie, what do you think about what I just said?
I think that you are entitled to have an opinion, and it's just that.
Well, because I am.
And I am entitled to have an opinion.
You'll be correct on that.
I can't wait for the debate. To watch your guy fail. Because your guy has been failing since he took over. Okay?
Solid take. What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that take, or is it...
Let me tell you something, guys.
Well, yeah. So I'm asking you to elaborate on it. Yes.
Are escaping? Do you know how many Cubans are escaping the Castro regime, and Biden is supporting Castro regime? Do you know that, right?
Something. You said something about regime. I can't completely understand what you're saying. But
hey, Julie, 5-second break. Julie, just a 5-second break, and then you can have the floor. Okay.
Brian's going to talk.
Just give me 5 seconds, and then Julie, pot her down for 5 seconds. Julie, just give me 5 seconds.
Yes.
Same amount of time Trump took with Stormy. I got to say, it is absolutely start it now. I got to say, it is absolute radio gold to hear Julie debate Chris Wynn on the air. That's all I wanted to say. Go ahead, Julie.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't know. Is it a debate, really? Or is this just me kind of,
go ahead. Go ahead,
trying
Julie.
to steer her in a
Okay,
direction?
Chris, are you aware that Biden removed Cuba from the terrorist list? Castro regime has been funding, training the Colombia guerrilla, the ETA, the EPA.
Yes, I know Cuba's historical. Yes, I know what they've done historically. Yes.
And I have another question. Why?
Okay, so you're gonna wait. Time out. So you're gonna ask me a question, but then now you're gonna ask me another question, even though I didn't really address that first question.
Hit me.
So yes,
Hit
I'm
me with
aware
your
of
question.
Cuba's history. All right, I'm aware of relations between the United States and Cuba. It varies depending on who the president is, depending on the administration that's in office, whose administration is in office, and how they deal with it. I don't think Cuba and the United States relations is high up on the pecking order when it comes to the 2024 election. But yes, I am aware of it vaguely as far as that goes. Does that sufficiently answer your question?
The foreign policies interfere and affect the United States because Cubans are crossing the border, and the diversity and the amount of illegal that we have in this country is we are a sinking boat right now, guys. Don't try to cover the sun with your finger, okay?
Okay.
Cubans have been crossing the border, particularly in South Florida, for decades, right? Because they are seeking political refuge, right? They're trying to get away from Cuba because of their politics there, right? Because of how the country is run, because of Castro and Castro's family running the country, right? I'm being very general, but I don't. So what is? So Julie, is there a point that you're getting to here? I'm just curious. Are you actually making a point that is relevant in 2024 politics?
Trump has been compared to a dictator when Biden is supporting a dictatorship.
Okay, so that's your take, is that Biden is supporting a dictator?
Do you have common
That's your
sense,
take?
please?
Very solid take.
Yes.
What dictatorship is Biden supporting?
Castro regime.
I'm sorry, who?
Castro regime.
Okay.
Trump imposed sanctions on
Gotcha.
Cuba, and
So,
Biden removed it.
So Brian, we need to bring you back into this, Brian. You're the lead host of the show, by the way.
I'm trying to get back.
I'm starting to
right
understand
now.
why it is that you you bounce
so
Julie
Julie,
off the phone every single day.
So let me try to interject now, Julie. Do you think it's inappropriate that Joe Biden was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un? Joe Biden shouldn't have done that, right?
Mira, listen, Brian.
No, Julie, I need you to answer the question. Joe Biden is such
I need to see
Julie,
Julie, you can write me a letter.
Listen.
That's
Julie, I need you to listen now.
convenient.
Julie, this is why I hang up on you. You're not listening. I need you to listen to my question, okay?
But you don't.
Do you think it's inappropriate?
Trump put on
Julie, I
on
need
Kim
you
Jong,
to.
right?
Julie, I need. This is the part where this is when MAGA crazy
Brian.
Julie. Julie, I need you to listen, okay?
Brian.
Julie, we can't have a conversation if you.
The
Julie,
love
I
letter
can't. Julie,
does not mean
calm her
Brian,
down all
it's
the way.
not a conversation. You should probably just hang up.
So
Yeah.
Julie is not capable of listening.
No.
Now, obviously, it was Donald Trump that wrote the love letters to Kim Jong-un, but she's so stupid she doesn't.
You're
even
trying to make a
understand
joke.
what
And
I'm
Brian,
saying.
I got to be honest. She would not have picked up on it. She did not
No,
pick up
she's-
on it. I guarantee it. She
Julie,
probably
have
just
your
heard you say it.
Julie,
and
is
just
your husband
ignored it.
listening? Julie, is your husband listening? Is he home right now?
No, my husband.
Can you please,
is working
can
right
you
now.
please tell your husband to control his wife, because you are an absolute lunatic. Have a nice day, Julie. Holy smokes! I try to have a conversation.
A little
I try.
misogynistic, but yeah.
I try. No, he was actually on this show before, and I said,
I know. I
control your
understand
wife.
that. Yeah, but
Oh my God, Julie, have your husband call up next time, okay? I want to talk to him. How does he put up with you?
So her
every
whole
day?
point is that Joe Biden supports dictators. That was her entire encompassed her entire take.
You
right
have
there.
Donald Trump, who wrote love letters to Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
He's praised Vladimir Putin. He actually said Adolf Hitler had some positive qualities, okay? And she wants to say that Joe Biden is the guy that supports dictatorship?
Shap, look at me. Projection, my friend.
It's
Okay, that's
ridiculous.
what these people do. Projection all over the place. They want to say that Democrats are communists when they, in fact, are the ones that promote communist antics. All right, I mean, it's just give me a break. All right, it's projection,
Absolutely absurd.
and it's misinformation too, as well.
All right, so we're going to take our final break now. And when we come back, I have a very poignant question to ask Chris, but I'm going to save it for when we come back. We'll also take some phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. So be right back with the liar and the guy that incites violence right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call, 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Please check out my friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill. They're located at Flamingo and Jones. Today happens to be Tuesday, so if Chris shows his TAM card, he gets $50 in free slot play immediately. I don't know why Chris wouldn't want to do that. And then on Thursdays, they're giving away $1,500 in gas cards. The more slots you play, the more of a chance you have to win free gas. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders. I love my Jackson's Bar and Grill, my favorite gaming bar in town. Yes, it is the official gaming bar of PTL. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Please check them out, Flamingo and Jones, and tell them that I sent you. Aren't you going to be getting your $50 in free slot play today, Chris?
I've done it multiple times. It's outstanding. Get a chance to head over to Jackson's Bar and Grill. They have a great menu over there.
Yes.
Nice little combination of whacking back some grub and playing some
absolutely
some of my Keno. It's top notch all around.
Absolutely. Check them out. All right, number to call 702-221-7283. Before I ask Chris Wynn my very poignant question, we'll get back to the phone calls here, take a few calls. Let's go to Tara, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Tara.
Hello, Tara.
Hi, family. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Doing great.
Well, I just wanted to mention that, I saw the clip of Donald Trump. I call him Donald Trump. But I saw a clip of him at the Las Vegas rally. It was like 110 degrees. People were passing out left and right. And this man actually stood there and let fly out of his mouth I don't care about you. I just want your vote. And
did say
then
that.
immediately he realized that he made a slip, and he said, oh, the media is going to have fun with that. They should. Because whoever says that when you're running for public office?
He did say that.
Even
You're
as
right.
a joke. Even as a joke.
Yeah.
This is a moment that I really want to see the news blow up. They keep blowing
You're right.
up about the
You're right.
electricity and the shark and riding on the shark or getting electrocuted. Let's blow that up.
He's deranged.
And let's
But I
blow
have a
that
better
up.
I have a better video that you can watch. There was a ginger white boy that showed up to that Trump rally. He was an anti-Trumper wearing a Boston Celtics jersey, and he was interviewed by Newsmax. I suggest you watch that 2-minute video clip because I think you're going to enjoy it.
And Brian, and to the caller, here's the deal. He reinforced that this past weekend in Philadelphia. He went up on stage, right, and said that, you know what? I don't care if you vote later on. I just you need to go out and vote for me in 2024. But after that, you don't need to vote anymore. You know,
I don't get it. After that, if you vote him in, you won't be able to vote him in.
Can I ask both of you a question?
That's what all of us were thinking when he blurred that out
and
in the city of brotherly love over
And
the
if
weekend.
you remember, he's been complaining about mail-in ballots until the cows come up, but now all of a sudden he says he
That's
doesn't care
right.
how you vote. Now all of a sudden mail-in ballots are okay.
That's right.
Explain to me how it
That's
changed.
Well, and let me fill you guys
That's
in
right.
too. How many people you think mail-in voted in 2020 and in 2016 that were Trump supporters, that were Trump voters, that
That's
voted by
right.
mail-in voting? Millions of them, I would get. Well,
That's
2020
right.
Because of the
Because
pandemic.
you know why? Because he's old school and he likes to see the election results on election night.
Yeah, he's
And these votes are residual and come in, and he doesn't like it because he wants to have a clear winner the first night. But it doesn't work that way after COVID.
it does
Everybody
not.
got woke up to mail-in voting after COVID. I never mail-in voted before. I always wanted
Donald
to
Trump
go
is
to the
mail-in
polls
voted.
proudly. As a woman, I would go to a poll and vote. I'm a woman, I'm voting.
Yeah.
You know, but with COVID, they just put me on mail-in voting. And now I realize that it's a better way because I don't have to deal with any political problems at the poll. I can vote from the comfort of my home, put it in the ballot box, follow my vote online so I know that it was counted, and I won't miss any elections.
You're
So
absolutely
it's a better
right.
way, and I'm sure a lot of other people woke up
As
too.
long as you vote, that's all that matters because I know you're not voting for Cheeto Jesus, and that's what makes it important.
No
I
way,
appreciate it.
no way.
I appreciate your call, dear. Thank you so much for calling in, and I'm with you 150%. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. The question quickly that I wanted to ask Chris, which was, who do you think Donald Trump is going to pick as his vice president? That
Oh,
was the
here
question.
we go. So there's been some rumblings, right, Mr. Shapiro, with respect to social media and across the board, that Vivek Ramaswamy might be the pick for Donald J. Trump as his running mate. I think that would be beyond hilarious. Now, look, as a Democrat, I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to let me kind of parrot Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, when she was on with, I believe, with CNN or MSNBC over the weekend or NBC News. I'm not in the business of making recommendations to the Trump campaign as far as who their running mate should be because they're all, I think, a bunch of jokers. But I think it would be highly problematic, let's put it that way.
I don't think he's high.
pick Vivek Ramaswamy
I don't think he's
as your
picking-
running mate because the guy is, again, you not only have Donald Trump, who I've already made abundantly clear my feelings as far as Donald Trump as a leader, the idea that Vivek Ramaswamy would be, as we describe, a heartbeat away from the presidency, I think would be just beyond laughable.
I don't think he's high. I think it's going to be J.D. Vance.
It's going to be either J.D. Vance, I think, or Tim Scott, or Marco Rubio. I think those are the three choices that people really take a look at seriously.
I'm going to say J.D.
and
Vance.
think.
I think he's already chosen J.D. Vance. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Cece. Cece is next up on PTL.
I think he's already chosen J.D.
Cece, are you there?
Brian.
Hi, Cece. How are you?
You know me. Chicago. Hey, you know what? We should have some debates with people over the phone like Julie. Us that watch you. I would have loved to debate.
I don't have enough Tylenol for that.
That would be some interesting radio to say the least. Yes, if you had callers actually just flying by the seat of their pants. Shaq,
Dr.
and talking
Jackson.
about-
I'm
Julie.
talking to Dr. Jackson right now, or as Donald Trump would
Dr.
refer to him as Dr. Johnson. Dr. Jackson Johnson, can you please come to the KSHP studios if Julie calls back and provide me with enough drugs as possible so that I can get through the show? Thank you very much. Or maybe, as Donald Trump said, somebody would have to give me a shot in the butt if I had to do an hour-long show with Julie. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what? These people ran from communistic countries to come to America, and then they want to put a communist president in. These idiots like her, Donald Trump. He wants to be a communist. I mean, it's like, really? How goofy can you be, lady?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think
Pretty goofy.
I think in some cases it comes down to just basic intelligence, right? I think in other cases it comes down to selfishness or complacency. Perhaps some people are brainwashed, and like I said, some people, they have a financial stake in this. If they support Donald Trump, could be because they want to be in office, or they want to remain in office, or they want to remain in power, or they want to save money on their taxes if they're in the top 1%. So there's all sorts of different reasons. To me, none of them are defense.
No, I know. I just had to say, because I do love you. I just love watching you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I do. And you're just a feisty, you're like me. I mean, Jewish and Italian are very, very close. There's a lot of similarities.
Cece, I'd hate to use this as a plug, but I think I will. For people like Cece that are fans of Mr. Shapiro, I ask one thing of you. Check out my new website, which is
third person right there.
pushingthelimits.live.
So third person shout.
Yeah.
If while I do this plug, if Chris doesn't interrupt me for 30 seconds, pushing. Numchuck just turned off his microphone, just like the debate where Donald Trump isn't going to be able to talk on Thursday. Pushingthelimits.live. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, and there's merchandise up there. You can donate. You can get more involved in the show. And I appreciate your support, Cece, dear. Thank you so much for calling in from Chicago.
All right, buddy. Take care. Peace,
Thanks,
love.
Cece.
Appreciate you.
Good
And
plug
now
there.
Chris's,
Good plug. I like it.
Chris's
I
microphone.
was not interrupting you. I was weaving in between your words.
Hey,
There's a difference.
Numchuck,
Right?
maybe we can practice. If you were like the debate microphone person, maybe you could turn off my microphone too.
Except the difference is I'll make actually a coherent point. I'll be actually making, or I'll be making a funny, one of the two. Making it funny.
Oh, my microphone was turned off there for a second. Where are you going to be watching the debate on Thursday? Where are you going to be watching it?
I'll be probably watching it at my at work at my employment.
We're turning the mics on and off now.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see all the coherent and real factual points that Donald Trump's probably going to make in this debate. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of enlightenment going on when it comes to words coming out of the mouth of Donald J. Trump in the debate on Thursday.
You know what my dream would be?
I absolutely expect that, Brian.
You know what my dream would be, and I know this isn't going to happen because a live crowd is not allowed.
Right.
I'd want E. Jean Carroll front row with her cat, right? Her cat's name's Vagina, right? I would want her cat sitting in a chair. I would want E. Jean Carroll sitting in a chair. I would want Jack Smith sitting right there in a chair. I would want Fannie Willis sitting right there in a chair with Bragg. I would want Hillary and Bill Clinton sitting right there, and I would want all 30 women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual assault or rape. Obviously, the ex-wife has passed away. I would want, maybe we could put a picture of where her gravestone is on Donald Trump's golf course and use that as a chair. I don't know. I would want every woman there. And you know one woman that wouldn't be there? Melania Trump. She wouldn't be there. But that would be my dream. I would want every single person that Donald Trump has screwed over and effed over. I would want 90% of the crowd to be black, the opposite of the church, the black church, supposedly, that Donald Trump went to in Detroit, your stomping grounds.
Yes.
That would be my dream, Chris. That's what I would want.
I'm going to be very curious, Mr. Shapiro, all right, when it comes to the debate, the very first time that Donald Trump gets his mic cut. I want to see his reaction the first time that happens. Because that's going to be.
Well, Chris, I don't even think it'll be cut.
It's going to be a complete, what show. It's going to be a three-ring
Chris,
circus.
Here's the question: it's not even really going to be cut when he's done talking. They're going to turn it off, right?
Right.
And I'm wondering if we'll be able to hear him yell because he's going to be doing this when his mic is off.
He's going to have his nose. Is
Just
be
like
in,
this.
His nose is going to be in the air like a basset hound looking for a mic, any microphone that's in the room.
Yes.
That he can
You're going to turn the mic
that's
off.
What he's gonna do.
Yeah, it's going to be funny.
It will be. Yes.
And I think Joe Biden's going to do just fine. I really do.
He'll be fine.
I think Joe's going to do just fine. And I'm wondering what type of drugs Donald Trump's going to be on. We know he's going to be with 8 layers of makeup and his 4 hair transplants. We know he's going to have all the layers of makeup on. He'll be wearing that red tie. And Thursday is going to be very interesting. By the way, programming note, a guy who's moderated a presidential debate before in his lifetime, John Ralston's going to be joining us on Thursday.
Nice.
The Nevada Independent.
Yeah.
And he's going to be giving us a preview on how he would moderate this debate. So good guest to have. And tomorrow, obviously, we're going to be doing more previewing the debate, but I'm sure some people have lost friendships. They've lost relationships. I know people personally that have lost relationships because of their political beliefs. Well, we're going to have somebody in studio that is a relationship therapist, how to deal if two people have different political opinions, how to deal with that in a relationship. I think we all could probably use that a little bit.
Interesting topic.
I
No
wanted
question.
I wanted to knock out your roommate a month ago because of
Well,
that.
it's-
So yeah.
Look, it goes without saying. There have been. I'm someone who has family members who I've not been talking to because of politics. So
absolutely,
it's something that's definitely out there.
It should be interesting. You should call into the show and get some advice. I think it'll help everybody. Anyway, Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We really
Yes.
didn't have to cut off your microphone, so that's good. And thank you for that incredibly intelligent debate with Julie. That was mesmerizing stuff. Yes, and now his mic has been cut off. Anyway, thanks to Chris for joining us. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow, folks. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east